You talk with people about presentation and you will see that people are worried a lot. They think that presentation is a myth, and they will look at you and they will have, their whole faces frowned with the very idea of presenting something. So we'll be talking about this myth and people having the fear of the presentation. So we will dispel that impression that presentation is something called myth. It's something very technical, needs some skills that we have to work through. So every good presentation begins with a title, and we can see that title should be very short, but it should not be such that it is too short on the words. Title should not be very long, but again the title should not be so long that it gives the impression of a sentence. Apart from that, it should be explicitly written, it should be very clear, must be simple, and must show the completeness. Later on, we move to the contents. The contents are written in such a way that they are showing a natural flow, and they should be written in such a way that, or they are giving the logical picture. Evolutionary style should not be very verbose or should not be overly stylish, but must be containing the list which is economical onwards. Similarly, then follows the main body of the presentation. When we talk about the main body of the presentation, we presume that the introduction, background, and the sufficient amount of references or literature are already discussed with the audience, and audience is now knowing what is the core of the presentation. By this time, first few slides have gone through the audience, and it is presumed that the audience is presented with the number of slides that were really necessary and which are conveyed to the audience as a full message. In other words, the first 3 or 4 slides actually should be written in such a way that more number of graphics or pictures should be there and less text, so that the motivation of the audience is captured and the audience is conveyed the message fully. After that, once the message has been conveyed to the audience, we have to see that the enough number of figures and diagrams are embedded in such a way that they are assistive, apart from the presenter's own personality that actually assists the audience. This section actually that we talked about began with the background, introduction, literature review, and reached the point where the audience are shown the motivational objectives and the gap that is there with the prior work and the new things or novel things that the presenter is trying to convey. Throughout these sessions, the introduction, literature, gap, and objectives should be synchronized with each other. Then comes the model. In this section, the author presents the methodology to present and the alternative or addition to the existing knowledge, and points the procedure that is needed to carry forward the research so that the gap is filled with the new ideas coming from the speaker itself. Here, the objectives are actually very well connected with the methods, so that it seems that a model is a natural solution to the existing problem. Then the small elements of the model, which can be the small functional blocks and the interconnectivity with them in an evolutionary manner, the logical flow between the different blocks of the model are discussed with the audience in detail. After the model is completely introduced, the results section starts, and here the initial results are presented and the prior work done by other researchers in the field is discussed, and then actually slowly, gradually, the new results are presented in forms of tables, graphs, and comparisons, and then critical parameters as well as contribution, including the novelty of the work, is re-emphasized through the results as a proof of the initial methodology that was discussed. In these sections, the data that was presented in result sections is analyzed using the existing simulation model, comparative, and the visual models that are available, so that the audience is at ease and is assisted in a way that the work is compared with the prior knowledge as well as the present work that is done by the researcher itself. After the analysis done by the presenter and the audience knows the details of the work and then prior work as well as the contribution of the research done by the presenter, the presentation is concluded. In conclusion section as well as the future work, the presenter is trying to complete the summary of the whole work in few words so that audience get the summary of what has been done so far by the presenter. In future work, the remaining tasks that can be done by anyone who is researching in the field are discussed at length, and then the presentation is wind up. The references section includes the list of the papers, journals, and other material that is available across the literary field and that is being used throughout the presentation by the researcher.